Okay, we are live. Hi, this is Jennifer Billig from Hand in Hand Family Resource Center, and I am here with Stephanie Jones from Functional Connections. And I also, before I let Stephanie talk, I want to tell you that I'm here again with my family. So you might hear them in the background, laughing or hopefully not doing anything else. Stephanie, I'm not even really sure. I know you're in Loser County, but I don't know what town Functional Connections is in.
We're located in Sweet Valley, so out by Ricketts Lake.
Okay.
And I'm here with my dogs, who should be fairly well behaved, but if you hear barking, that's all it is. Don't worry, we're good. They like to stare at the rabbits out the window, especially when I'm on video calls. They will bark. They'll go days without barking until I get on a video call. Functional Connections is a fairly new company. We've been in business since about November. And we provide educational-based services and waiver-based services for teens and adults with developmental disabilities, autism. We also do some educational consulting for the districts at all age levels, but primarily we are working with individuals in their home and community, getting them out, getting alive, practicing volunteering, learning independent skills, and most importantly, just doing functional things that make our lives better. So
that's awesome. So we have you here today, though, to talk for all ages on how to keep a routine and how to have that routine if we are being schooled virtually. So I'm going to.
I think it's hysterical that you're asking me this because I'm not a routine person. I fly by the seat of my pants very well. I multitask very well, and I do lots of different things all at the same time. That's just how I am. So my routine basically consists of making sure I get my morning coffee and making sure I get my sleep at night. So I count on those two things happening every day. But when I started to think more about it, teaching flexibility is a really big part of what I do in my job, both when I worked early intervention, school age, and now with teens and adults, to teach others to be flexible. What allows us to be flexible is knowing those things we can count on in life. So that basic routine becomes really critical in COVID pandemic times where are we going back to school or are we not going back to school? What does that look like? Are we going to do virtual school? Or are we going to do homeschooling? Are we doing 2 days on, 2 days off? For adults that I work with, am I going back to my day program? Am I going back to my job? Is my volunteer side open? So when we think about teaching flexibility, the first thing that we really teach is basic, simple routines that don't change. What can we count on? And like I said, that's where it gets weird for me because I don't have a lot of those. But when I boiled it down to the essential routines, for me, surviving this very strange time, making sure I have a range for my bedtime, but making sure I'm getting enough sleep at night, that there is that bedtime routine, get your sleep. I get up whether I have to work or not, which I have the entire pandemic, but get up at reasonably the same time every day, get your day started, get moving. Are your meal times routine? And then setting in maybe some additional traditions for families with kids or individuals who need more support. You can build in that don't have to change. So special meals, special activities on days of the week. Tuesday night is taco night or Friday night is game night. Things that aren't dependent on the outside world. Having things we can count on makes it easier to accept the things that really try to throw us for a loop.
So I have two questions going off of that. So when I, in the past, for me personally, have tried to make a schedule, I think I tried to fill it like with routine. This is what we're going to do for every second of every hour of every day of the week. And that fails pretty well. So if we center it around those everyday activities that you're saying, and then just kind of fill in a little bit as we need to and working things out.
Look at is what things can you set that most situations do not have to change, and keep it simple. If it's not achievable, you're just going to end up frustrated. I would end up frustrated. Your kids are going to end up frustrated. So very, very simple things, like 3 or 4 things daily at a max. This is the routine. Everything else might shift a little bit. The other things might change a little bit, and that's okay. We're going to be okay with that because we're counting on tonight is Taco Tuesday and Friday night is game night. And we have those things that we can sort of mark time with for kids, especially. That's really important. Or for our early learners, whatever age they are, if they don't have that solid understanding of time and the passing of time, it helps to have things on the calendar to mark. This is how our week passes. This is what we have to look forward to. But it certainly doesn't have to be the pre-COVID schedule, which was 6:30 a.m., wake up 7:15 on the bus, 8 o'clock at school, pick you up at 3 o'clock, go to sports, go to church, I'm hoping for our whole society that way of life becomes a lot less important to people. It's healthier for kids. They do not need to have every minute of every day booked in that sort of a extreme structure. So just a general routine, something that you can stick to.
Okay. And then as far as making up a schedule for evening routines like Taco Tuesday or game night, things happen with work. You know, you had a really bad day, things are awful. It's really important to try to find a way to make it happen, even though you as a parent just really don't want to sit down and play Uno. Is that correct? You have to find a way to get yourself, just life is going to be easier if you follow through with this.
Agreed. And that's why keep life in mind when you're making your routine. Make it something that you could push through and make that happen even on a pretty bad day. Because again, if it's punishing to you, it's going to be really punishing to your kids. You don't want to do that to any of you. So keep it simple. One of the things that I would suggest, especially for parents of special needs children, is I found with many of my clients during this time, so much more time at home, not getting out, everything changed in their worlds that they were very dependent on. Because I had worked with some of them in the school setting, I knew techniques that they are just ingrained in them. And it's very natural for them to follow a schedule that is written out this way. It's very natural for them to follow a picture schedule that's laid out this way. It's natural for them to respond to timers, because in many of our autism support classrooms, the kids' whole day runs on timers. And there were different things like that I could pull into home life that made things so much more simple and easier, not just for me, but for their parents to be able to do. So where mom was struggling with transitioning away from preferred activities into non-preferred activities, I said, well, let's try just using a visual. Let's stop talking. That's how you've always done it. So let's stop doing what you've always done. And I'm going to guess that at 17 years old, this one's probably pretty acclimated to a picture schedule. So we put 3 pictures on, the preferred thing that we're doing right now, the semi-preferred thing next, and whatever this other activity is. Not a first then. It's not any sort of a reward. It's just saying, right now we're watching TV, and then we're going to go eat, and then we'll take our shower. So in 5 minutes, we're going to be all done watching TV. Then you stop talking, set the timer, 5 minutes goes off. All right, TV's all done. Take the TV off. It was absolutely amazing what it did for this individual, but it was something that was probably so ingrained from his educational setting. So if you're struggling with, or before you struggle with things like that, many of you have probably already gotten through that struggle, but ask the teacher what it looks like at school if you don't already know. Send me a snapshot of what her visual schedule looks like. And then you can try to replicate some of that at home. Ask them those questions. And my responses from teachers that I've reached out to, one in particular had a few of my students their last year at school, was we're spending all of this time to send you things anyway that we're not really sure are going to be helpful, but we want to send you something, so we're trying. We would much rather spend our time sending you a copy of their school visual schedule with a written explanation of that than some general PEX symbols and different things that you could work on that may or may not work. So hit your teachers up for those kind of specifics. Do you use a timer? What kind of timer do you use? Do you use the timer on your cell phone? Do you use a little beep, beep, beep timer? I think there could be some valuable things that we pull from the educational setting into the home setting, not the academics. I mean, for a lot of our kids, they're just, that's not going to work for you at home, but pull some of those tips and tricks and tools that the kids are so conditioned to at school into the home setting may help stick to those routines as well.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. I'm going to look at Melinda has a question. How do I keep my cool when my child is Zoom bombing my meetings? Thank you. So let's ask this first. Is there something that we could do to help our children understand that we're in a meeting, that you can't interrupt us right now?
Well, good luck telling a child. Now you just dared them to do it. So I would avoid that word. I would keep in mind that just like you would with any non-preferred thing, and they may not want your attention all day long. And as soon as you get on the meeting, they're going to want your attention. It's just the way it works. So the same as you would maybe with other non-preferred things, think of it in that way. This is a non-preferred thing for them, having mom's attention or dad's attention pulled away on a meeting. What are you setting up for them for right after it? I'm getting on this meeting, and as soon as it's done, we're going to do this. Even if it's just 5 minutes or 10 minutes, something that's highly preferred for them with you that guarantees them your attention is coming back to them. Will help. I don't know if using some of the like Zoom backgrounds and things, will that block out someone naked streaking behind you? And I'm not sure if it does or not. I'm not sure how.
I don't know either.
That one's pretty tough, but I think part of it too is we just have to embrace it. You and Melinda both work and live in the field. And I think part of just embracing what it is. This is my life. It's probably quite, I'm not sure how to say it. It's hard. It's hard to not care or not to think about what the person on the other end of the computer is thinking about you, but it really doesn't matter. What matters is the connection with your kid. Hopefully there's a way to work on that. But just laugh about it. Move on. I guess keep moving the camera. Maybe you're going to have to just switch your camera off and they'll just have to hear your voice, and that'll be okay. If they judge you for that, that's their problem, not yours. But I think when you, the other thing you could do is do a lot of practice ahead of time. So many of our individuals learn best through repetition. So we take practice tests before we take tests, and we do lots of trials before we master a skill. And is there a way to jump on a Zoom call? And they don't need to know it's a practice, but I'm getting on a meeting with Stephanie for 5 minutes. So I really need you to respect that. And as soon as we're done, then I'm going to come and we can do whatever. We'll make our brownie sundae or whatever it is. And do it more often in a setting that isn't as important to you, where who cares if I see it? But it gives your child that opportunity to practice and for you to give that high level of reinforcement so that they know when mom gets off of a meeting, like really good things happen for me if I stayed out of the room. Just using that basic, conditioning technique, it does take more time. And I hesitate to say anything that takes more time, but, a couple of 5-minute fake meetings to help train your child to stay out of the room when you're on a meeting might pay off when you have that bigger conference meeting that you really don't want the mad streaker running behind you in.
It's like the story of the fake trip to grandma's house. where they were going and they got in a fight in the car and they went home. But the trip wasn't planned until the following weekend.
Yeah. I mean, we
sense with yes. Mm-hmm. So we also talked, you and I, before this about processing time and understanding that our kids sometimes need processing to process questions, to process academics and different things like that. And I was thinking about this today with my own child about that processing through when we're upset, and getting ourselves to the end of that, and now how that could take longer, especially when we are in the unknown with things.
Yeah. It's really important, and maybe that becomes part of the routine. Again, having practice conversations before we are at a crisis point, just practicing those communication skills. Maybe even in happy times. So we just finished our chocolate sundaes and we say, hey, how do you feel right now? How are you feeling? And you can share that yourself and help your child with whatever their communication style is to somehow express that, whether it's a thumbs up, thumbs down, if they are going to draw a smiley face, if they're going to have a conversation with you about it. The more we can practice with conversation processing skills when we're not upset, when our doll is not broken, when our computer did not fall apart on us, when we just finally finished school and now we get to use it for something fun and the internet bleeps out on it. Again, that can really help for them to practice processing. So then when it's something upsetting, you have sort of a framework for what that looks like. But also building it into our routines to listen to one another. It can be really hard. I am not a parent, and my hat is off to all of you. I've never been so happy as the last 6 months of not being a parent. I can't imagine what it's like. I'm happy to buck up every day and do what I can to support all of you, but it's hard. It's real tough. And I think, again, it's a whole different approach to life, to take the time to realize really that's what we have. That's what we'll have today and tomorrow, as much as anyone can, whether we can go to the store or can't go to the store. We're here, and we're here with these people. So what are we going to do with that? I think it's a process of letting go of all those other expectations we have of ourselves, to be the Pinterest mom, or to be the amazing advocate and resource center runner and everything to everybody and meeting all of those needs. It's okay to pull in and be able to focus in on your family, and take care of those littles who need some time to process. And don't forget, they just need to move too. And I hear so many parents saying, my kids don't move anymore at all. Mm-hmm. They're on the couch and they won't get off the couch and they won't get up and they won't do things. So if you have to play dirty, the things they really want, put them really far away. At least they have to get up to go and get those. And I'm talking your 8, 9, 10, 15-year-olds. I'm not saying you do this to your 2-year-old. That's cool. They'll usually keep moving anyway, but the older ones who start to lay around a lot, whether you feel like it or not, is there something that they like? A little surprise. It doesn't have to be anything big. Tell your kid you hit a surprise and here's the clues, and it'll at least get them up and around the property. They can follow the clues. They can go look for something, put it out at the farthest reach. There are ways we can try to build in some movement. Point systems, crazy as it is, told my staff yesterday, hey, if you can find this type of class online, I'll give you bonus points. They're all over it. What do bonus points equate to? Nothing. For kids, you probably should make them equate to something. But there can be things built in like that just to help them, again, build that routine. And then it helps you to be able to blame it on your routine a little bit. yep, this is when we go for our walk. Again, it's your routine. It's on your schedule. It's not because mom's saying it. This is what we've decided, and if your kids are able to participate in that decision, 3 nights a week, we're going to do something to get moving a little bit. What do you want to do? And if your kid's choice is to play tag, then suck it up and play tag. And if their choice is a 5-minute walk, then do a 5-minute walk. By the end of the month, you'll be up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it will equate to something. So I think if you involve them in the choice, but then that becomes sort of a written routine, those are the things that are on the calendar. You know what, Johnny? I don't feel like it either. I don't want to. But that's what we're supposed to do. So I'll help you if you'll help me. And so to be someone other than you always being the one who gets the blame because mom makes you do dumb things.
Right. See, I'm the kind of parent that would be like, yeah, I don't really want to do it either. Let's do something else.
You know what? That can be okay too. I really don't want to go for a walk now, but we said we were going to do what else could we do? Does it count as exercise if we sit here and make silly faces at each other? Because that I could handle tonight. And go with it. It's still quality time with your kid. It's really about that special time that was built in or having something to look forward to. Now, if your kid is like, I've been waiting all day to go for this walk, I can't wait. Yeah, suck it up and make it a short one.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. We can't take a short walk here. It was like 7 miles around the block. We did it once.
Wow.
So I think we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but now I'm not certain we haven't already talked about it live here. But for adults, keeping on it so the kids and their routine with school, but for an adult that maybe their program was closed down or the place where they work is done, like what can they do if they're independent, they're living in a group home or they're in their own apartment, and what can like the same thing for us, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that a lot of creativity has to go into it. I know that a lot of people have turned to online and virtual supports. There's at least one program in our area that has been, for a while anyway, they were running like 10 hours a day of virtual programming so that anytime their individuals who were not at day program wanted to connect, they could connect. And things that they were interested in, the program would drive by and drop off the supplies at their house so they could participate in that class virtually. And karaoke and dance party and story times and we're just logging on to watch a movie together, even though it was virtual. So I think people have gotten a lot more creative with what we can do virtually and starting to accept that as some form of contact.
I'm going to have a karaoke party soon, so look out for that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Karaoke is not my jam, but it can be lots of fun. I think Erin knows how to run one online too, so hit her up.
Okay.
That's a big thing. Really don't underestimate the value of routine. It's not for kids. It's for all of us. That's how we stay sane. And what are you doing for yourself? I know a lot of independent adults who live on their own have felt so isolated during this time. But what do you do for yourself? How do you make something for you? What's important to you? Is there someone that you could do a mailing book exchange with so that you're getting new books, but the bookstores are closed, you can't get out, you're out of money? Just because we're in a pandemic doesn't mean everybody has extra money to do all kinds of things they couldn't afford to do before. I think seeking out some creative opportunities like that, but also, again, be kind to yourself. You don't have to run, go all day, every day. So if that's your hang up, maybe you need to listen to a little bit of Brene Brown on a podcast. Maybe you need to do a little reflection and meditation, take an opportunity to do those things. If the problem is the opposite, where you're so isolated, I think reaching out to find where your online communities are that you can participate in, or now that more of our counties are open, the appropriate spaces that we can go to. I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I would have told you there was very little here except for Ricketts Glen, but we found a goat farm that is 8 minutes from my house. It's a fabulous place. It's very welcoming. It's very open. It's very spacious. I don't have to be close to anybody. Nobody's touching things. I'm not spreading germs. And we were able to go there and, have a great afternoon. Didn't even know it existed. You really?
I would not go farm.
Hey, listen, feeding babies is a pretty cool thing to do.
I guess baby goats are cute.
I didn't go into much. There were some big goats in there, but it was mostly to feed the baby goats and then just to get to see the property and do something different. I hate being outside. Look at me. I am not a sun goddess, and I have forced myself to become more flexible, and I have spent a lot more time outside in my yard, at the goat farm. I go to Hillside once or twice a week, whether it's for work or personal. Just, it's an opportunity to try something new. And an excuse to be a little less rigid with my own routine. Expand what's possible. So my perfect world is a hot tub and a book and no people around. And that's going to change a lot.
Yeah. So this is, I started having more questions because we talked a lot about the routine for home virtual learning. But how about things that kids had to prepare for if they are going back to school? And we didn't talk about this, so I'm throwing this at you. I'm sorry. That they have to be still socially distanced, that they can't go up and hug their friends or their teachers, that they can't, high five or that kind of stuff. I mean, like social stories and different things. But how would you suggest we prepare them for that? And I think you're frozen.
I think that
there you are.
Maybe I was just sitting really.
Nope, you're good. There you are. No, you were.
I think that
I startled you.
There's again, practice. Practice is the best thing. No child I know of is going to be prepared to wear a mask for 7.5 hours. But the more we can get them comfortable wearing a mask, the more likely it is they can become successful doing it. So small periods of time, like for the mask wearing, I think really being on top of that, even though you don't have to worry about the germs at home as much because you all are sharing germs, as great as that sounds, the more they're in a routine of wash your hands, sanitize, is your mask on? I saw a great idea the other day. Someone had posted, maybe it was even you, I don't know. A great way to get your kids comfortable starting to wear masks is allow them extra electronics time, but only if they're wearing a mask. So they get extra iPad time as long as the mask is on. Maybe working it into fun things like that. Letting them decorate their masks. If you have some cloth masks that they can paint on or draw on and personalize, those sort of things. The social distancing, I think making a game out of it, especially really for all of us, it probably would work better if it's a game because then it's fun to learn really how far away do we need to be from people and what does that look like? Giving them some sort of a visual, like you have to stay 6 feet away. What does that mean to someone who is 37 inches tall? What do they have to compare it to?
Right.
Being able to say, like, you want daddy to be able to lay on the floor in between that person and you from head to toe, draw out lines on the floor. This is what it's going to look like. And it doesn't mean that people don't like you. This is what we have to do to be safe. I think some of the basic things too, we underestimate kids and individuals with disabilities of any age way too much and assume that they don't know what we're talking about. I would have told you that probably 0 of my clients would be willing to wear masks. And all of my clients who have wanted to go out in the community in any aspect of all have all been to wear masks the entire time that we're out without a problem. Because they do understand so much more than other people might assume. If you need to teach those things, glitter is a fantastic way, unless you happen to be allergic to it, like my friend Melinda. Glitter is a fantastic way to teach germs because you know it sticks to everything. So if you teach about how germs are passing, put a little bit of glitter on your palm and shake one person's hand. That's it. Don't shake anybody else's. By the time everybody in the room is done shaking hands with everybody, everyone has a trace of that glitter on their hands. It can really help to teach kids how it's spread, the importance, how easy it is to spread it, and you really can't see it as you're doing it. Another good one, if you have some of those kids who like science experiments, this is really gross, but it's effective. Take 4 pieces of cheap white bread and 4 Ziploc bags, put one of them, touch it only with gloves, put it in the bag so it touches nothing and seal it shut, set it aside. The other one, wipe the palm of your hand with a piece of the bread on both sides, so it's just your hand germs, put it in a bag, seal it shut. Take your pick on what you want to do. Maybe you wipe a door handle with another one because kids touch door handles all the time and whatever else. Do something different with the 4 pieces of bread, seal them up, let them sit in a dark place for a couple of days, and it will blow your mind at the amount of germs that you find just on the palm of someone's hand or on a doorknob or whatever else it is that kids might share with one another, and wipe their iPad screen with it. You know how many germs are on the phone screen? So if your kids are into something like that and might learn from it, I think impressing on them as much as possible what a germ is, how it's spread, how we can prevent it. There are some great social narratives that are out there that just explain things like that. There's entire packets on why it's important to wear a mask and instructions about appropriate social distancing and keeping your germs to yourself that can help. But without practice, those aren't going to mean anything. So if you're reading the story, that's great. Follow it up with some level of behavioral practice so that they start to develop those skills and they're able to do those things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. You're absolutely right, too. I did not think that my daughter would wear a mask, but she does. She doesn't give anybody any trouble about it at all.
That's fantastic. Right. I have been blown away. I mean, we had some plans on how to teach it, and we would start with 1 minute and 2 minutes and 3 minutes, and really we got to the door of a store and said, well, if you want to go in, you have to wear. They look, and everyone else is wearing a mask.
You want to come hang out with me?
So, yeah, I think. And there are not that easy,
Would you like to come hang out?
Along with the practice will really help.
Mommy!
Hold on a second.
Would you like to come hang out?
I want to come hang out.
Yeah, right? I'm going to go hang out with her in a few more minutes. So I see we do have some viewers, and I don't know if anybody has any questions that we have not yet gone over or anything that I haven't thought about. Is there anything we talked about, Stephanie, that I haven't brought up yet? I think we've.
I don't think so. I think we've talked about it. Just flexibility is a skill. It's not something that's inherent. And I think maybe we're all born with slightly different levels and slightly different inclination towards it, but it's a skill that can be taught just. And you've all taught your children all these things their whole life. Don't be daunted by the task of teaching them. Yeah. Those simple things that they can count on helps them to be more flexible with the things that have to change. And you can teach that little by little. Practicing is a great way to do it. in a low-key way so that the pressure's not on for you or for them. Practice meetings, so they're practicing being quiet while you're in a meeting or practicing wearing a mask. Online education, but that's the way to go. Practicing skills and how to do that. Help prepare them as well.
Okay. I have one more question. When we're practicing and we're doing things and we get I'm a little distracted. The follow through that we wanted. Do we let's talk about rewards, because that's always a struggle, because some things you just do because you have to.
Right.
And
there's very little that we do in life without some sort of reinforcement. And it may be a really good time. I do this often with my clients, a preference assessment, a reinforcement assessment. And as well as you think you know your children, and as much learned about them in the last several months being trapped at home with them, it might be time to kind of see if are there other things that they might like. Are there other things they might like to do? Are there other things, a half an hour and $20 at the Dollar Tree, buying things that maybe your child has never been interested in before might not be a bad idea. They haven't been at school. They haven't been seeing all the cool things that their friends have. Their world's been limited to what's already there. So it might be a really opportune time to kind of do an updated preference assessment on your own kids. Can I find more things that they're interested in? Is there a different type of game they might be interested in? Is there a new toy that they might like? Is there an old toy that they might like to have brought back out? Does quality time with me count as a reinforcement? And looking at that, probably a pretty good time to do that. We're working through August before it starts, because if you're supporting them through virtual learning, or you're going to homeschool, or you're just trying to get them back on that bus every day, you're in your pocket. Things that they can work for, and maybe they're bored enough.
I can't go.
That old things make sense. Like, we all think we know what the kids like, and especially verbal kids who can tell us what they like. We tend to go off of that. Just throw things to play with. You sit and play with them and tell them they can. They're going to want to play with it.
right.
And then once they do, maybe they'll like it, and maybe it works as some sort of reinforcement. Certainly those who are able to indicate choices and wants, and throw a bunch more choices at them. Give them some other ideas and try some of those out to see if it works, because things are starting to get stale for you and for them at this point.
Yeah.
And what used to work really well for you is kind of gotten old. So don't be afraid to change that up and throw some new things at them and see what happens.
Okay. All right. Well, we didn't get any new questions.
Okay.
But this video will be out there for anybody if they want to watch it again, or you want to share it for us so that other people can see it. That would be awesome. And Stephanie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tonight. And maybe we come on another time and talk about all the wonderful things you're doing with
Sure.
the older students and adults. I would love that.
Sure. Yeah, we should do a session just for parents of adult children.
Yes, that would be awesome. Actually, I think we need to do that about independence and preparing, what we should be able to do on our own. So in case something happens to family members.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was nice to see you again. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.